You want to hear some music? You'd like that, wouldn't you? Well, today you're going to get all the music you want.
The request lines are now open. KGFJ Soul Radio.
Do it now, man.
Request lines are up.
It's open, man.
Got any Blue Oyster Cult?
No, I don't have any Blue Oyster Cult. I ate 34 pairs last time around. Where were you? I was that close to working at 7-Eleven, you know.
Pass the word along. Tell the men it's time to shoot the moon.
Shoot the moon!
Not out there on the microphone. On the microphone.
Shoot the moon. Shoot the moon.
The attitude dictates that you don't care whether she comes, stays, lays, or prays. I mean, whatever happens, your toes are still tapping.
Hey, Strawberry! Oh, Strawberry. Hey, what's happening, man? How you doing? This is my friend.
Hey, how you doing, man?
What you looking at, man?
Oh, no, nothing. I wasn't looking. I wasn't looking at his neck, man.
Can you honestly tell me that you forgot the magnetism of Robin Zander or the charisma of Rick Nielsen?
That's kid stuff.
Kid stuff. Well, how about the tunes? I want you to want me. The Dream Police. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
Build your muscles picking strawberries. You know, bend and scoop. Maybe I could get you a job with United Fruit. I got a buddy with United Fruit. Start with strawberries, you might work your way up to these goddamn bananas. When, boy, are you gonna get your act together?
We're creating a society of cell phone crazed, marijuana smoking zombies.
Coming to you not quite live from Lukewarm Tallboy Studios deep in the land of Gar, this is Bend and Scoop, the podcast featuring music, mirth, and minutia, focused on exposing artists you probably haven't heard, but should. I'm Bob, and I'll be your tour guide on this amazingly asymmetric auditory adventure as we journey to the center of your cochlea. Welcome to episode 18. Hey, Bend and Scoop can vote now, just in time for the election. Joining us at the end of the show for our Groovin' After Party will be our very special guest, Chris Krauth, from the Now More Than Ever podcast, who will be sharing his own personal musical journey with us while playing a round of Is That Your Vinyl Answer? We spread the gospel of vinyl here at Bend and Scoop, so be sure to tell us all about your favorite neighborhood record store by posting to @BendScoop on Twitter or Instagram using the hashtag SpinMomAndPop. Our record store of the week is Vinyl Light Records and Skate Shop in Noonan, Georgia, a favorite of our aforementioned guest, Chris. You can follow Vinyl Light on Twitter @VinylLight, on Instagram @VinylLight_records, on Facebook @VinylLight Records, or you can check out their website at vinyllightrecords.com. That's spelled VINYLYTE. Batting leadoff in our lineup is a great track off the brand new album from Betty Smith, spelled like Midler, but pronounced like Davis. That's not the name of the album, but maybe she'll consider it for the next one. Off The Good, The Bad, and The Betty, this is I Felt It Too on Bend and Scoop.
But in my heart I thought I'd let you know
That's Our Way Free off the 2015 album Non-Believers by Superchunk frontman and co-founder of Merge Records, Mac McCaughan. Just a quick reminder about a new podcast I've started called Assume the Juxtaposition, where you're the host and I'm the guest. If you want to host an episode, send your topic idea to me at lukewarmtallboy@gmail.com. The third episode, hosted by David Rosen, is a fun round of something he calls That One. Check it out on Spotify and now also available on Apple Podcasts. You can follow Assume the Juxtaposition on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, all at AssumeTJPod. Up next from Massachusetts, here are the Pernice Brothers with this catchy tune from 2019's Spread the Feeling. This is Skinny Jean on Bend and Scoot.
Death of you. Skinny Jean will be the death of you. Skinny Jean will be the death of you. With crocodiles in her eyes, should come as no surprise to learn the swearing up and down, contrition, pouts and frowns, useful lies. From a soda can, her gritty teeth and china white. She'll slap you silly with her sparrow hands. Nothing is heavy in her world. So far above this girl, you'll never have another dream that stars a different queen than Skinny Jean. Skinny Jean will be the death of you. Will be the death of you. Skinny Jean will be the death of you. With crocodiles in her eyes, should come as no surprise to learn the swearing up and down, contrition, pouts and frowns, the useful lies. Skinny Jean will be the death of you. Skinny Jean will be the death of you. The death of you. Skinny Jean will be the death of
you. I'm getting married.
You know, since you're gonna do this, the least we can do is make sure you go out in style.
Yeah, let's have a bachelor party with chicks and guns and fire trucks and hookers and drugs and booze.
Yeah. All the things that make life worth living.
Baby's in a rockin' mood. There's no stopping her now. Couldn't if you wanted how. Yeah. She's dancing on the parlor floor. Takes my hand and spins some more. Twirls me like a top. Lord knows what she's got in store. Baby's in a rockin' mood. There's no stopping her now. Couldn't if you wanted how. Yeah. She paints my lips a ruby red. Now try a little blush, she says. I look just like a clown, but there's no frowns, just smiles instead. Baby's in a rockin' mood. There's no stopping her now. There's no stopping if you want it how. Yeah. It's true, if fun's contagious. Now I've got that bug too. Baby's in a rockin' mood. There's no stopping her now. fire flurry.
Pure audio confection from Mark Bassino off his 2003 album The $1 Million Milkshake. That's Rockin' Mood. Don't forget to check out our Bend and Scoop Spotify playlist where you can hear that one and 188 of the 198 songs we've played on all 18 episodes, which means we're batting 949, which is good because we only have warning track power. We'll keep the fun vibes going with a jaunty track from Seattle's The Melody Unit off 2005's Songs for the New American Century. Let's take a trip to the Soviet disco on Bend and Scoop.
Now, comrade, you're one of us. Never looked on a Western
back in time with a super sound of yesterday. We play the music. This is the place. Stay a while for much more.
It was always you, but I couldn't see right through. It was always you, but all I can see now is blue. It was always you, from the first time that I knew. It was always you, but all I can see now is blue.
That's Major Leagues, with members hailing from Melbourne and Brisbane, Australia, with It Was Always You, off their 2017 album Good Love. If you like what you hear on Bend and Scoop, please subscribe, rate, and review us at Apple Podcasts or anywhere you get your podcast. Don't hold back. We can take it. Here's a band that never really got their due. Detroit's Moods for Moderns. They only released one album, 2001's Loud and Clear, but it's so great. Hopefully, we can help get them some well-deserved attention. Without further ado, this is one I think you'll all enjoy. Slacker Ways on Bend and Scoop.
Baby, I am happy. show. I passed out most of these days, so sick of my slacker ways, that I think it's time you knew.
Chippendale's star attraction, Mr. Nicholas, better known as Nick the Dick.
Nick the what?
The Dick.
Hey! Ho-ho!
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah, man, hey, hey, and, personally, I was impressed when they opened the World Trade Center, but this is a piece of work.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, Nick, or is it Mr. Dick?
Nick.
You want to do the honors?
Gentlemen.
Right.
Here's your orders, ladies. You can help yourselves.
Is that the foot long?
And then some.
I got ideas about what I can and can't do. I wanna impress my friends. Impressions lead to breakthroughs. We can leave right now and get back on time. I wanna leave right now and be the perfect crime. My elders always told me not to tell a lie, but the words came rolling off my tongue that night. The only thing gonna keep it together is not out of the mind. One after one way, think you're pretty clever this year, wasting time. Keep a secret safe. Yeah, I was never no good. The whole thing went away when I thought that I could. Tell, who wouldn't understand? My present condition is killed by the end, blessing in hand. The only thing gonna keep it together is not out of mind.
From 2003's excellent Beat Beat Heartbeat, that's The Natural History with Telling Lies Will Get You Nowhere, which has unfortunately been greatly disproven over the past 4 years. Don't forget to stick around for the end of the show when our special guest Chris Krauth from the Now More Than Ever podcast will join us for our Groovin' After Party. Let's head to the heartland of America for a flyover state twofer. Up first from Tulsa, Oklahoma, off his 2014 album titled 27, is M. Lockwood Porter with the It's Funny 'Cause It's True, You Only Talk About Your Band on Bend and Scoop.
So this is really what you wanna do for a living? Sleeping until noon and then pretend you're Bob Dylan. I'm leaving, 'cause I've had all that I can stand. You tell me that you love me, but you only talk about your band. You don't make no money, get paid and drink tickets, playing 2 or 3 chords, 45 minutes. I'm leaving, 'cause I've had all that I can stand. You tell me that you love me, but you only talk about your band. You only sing about your feelings and you sing about me. Why don't you get a real job and go to therapy? I'm leaving, 'cause I've had all that I can stand. You tell me that you love me, but you only talk about your band. You don't know what it is to struggle or what it's like to lose. You ain't a poet, just another one more singing blues. I'm leaving, 'cause I've had all that I can stand. You tell me that you love me, but you only talk about your band. Like I ain't even there. If you like him so much, why don't you fuck your bass player? I'm leaving, 'cause I've had all that I can stand. You tell me that you love me, but you only talk about your band. You tell me that you love me, but you only talk about your band. You tell me that you love me, but you only talk about your band.
One explosive night, enter a new dimension in rock. Sunday, July 29th, Alpine Valley Music Theater unleashes the force of Blue Oyster Cult. Blue Oyster Cult, Sunday, July 29th, virtually blowing your mind with heavy metal and the most sophisticated special effects show in rock. Get your tickets now at all Ticketron outlets. Experience the ultimate of heavy rock pleasure. Blue Oyster Cult, Sunday, July 29th at Alpine. Continue your trip in this new dimension. Wednesday, August 8th, Alpine Valley presents the rock sensation of Journey. Journey, August 8th at Alpine. Embracing your nerves with a musical high. Tickets now available at all Ticketron outlets for Blue Oyster Cult, July 29th, and Journey, August 8th at Alpine.
In the winter of our loss,
Closing out our flyover state twofer there was Omaha's Matt Whipke with Let Me Bleed from 2015's Underwater. You know, at my age, none of my friends are having weddings anymore, which is kind of a shame because who doesn't love a good bachelor party?
20th Century Fox has brought you stories of love, war, adventure. Now, another classic tale. Rick Gasco is a man who lives to love.
Hi, sister. You look terrific today. What have you done with your hair?
Ready? Yo!
A man with talent. Good taste.
I hope you like potato salad. It's chunky style, my favorite.
Good friends.
This is the problem with American cars.
Good news.
I'm getting married.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, let's have a bachelor party with chicks and guns and fire trucks and hookers and...
His bride, Debbie,
It's you!
was raised in a different world.
Rick, we don't have a dog.
Oh, that's too bad. That's a waste of some good fat.
You're obnoxious.
A man.
Bond. James Bond.
A woman.
Oh, come on, honey.
A bachelor party for him. A bridal shower for her. A night to encounter ex-boyfriends, ex-girlfriends, ex-men, and excitement.
Is that your special?
20th Century Fox invites you to witness a tradition no one will discuss in public.
That would be out of sight, dude.
A motion picture event you can't afford to miss.
This is the best 3D I've ever seen.
I've seen better.
Bachelor Party, starring Tom Hanks, a man's tradition every woman should know about.
Hey, it's dark in here.
people listen to people. So listen, people.
Welcome to the Groovin' After Party. Come on in and pour yourself a cold one.
Joining me here in the Groovin' After Party at Bend and Scoop is a longtime friend of mine who I met probably close to 20 years ago on an online music message board that used to be affiliated with the CMJ magazine. And we've kept in touch all these years, and he has his own podcast now and wanted to have him on. Chris Krauth of the Now More Than Ever podcast.
Hey, Bob. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing great. So tell everybody about Now More Than Ever. You guys have been at it now for a few months and going strong here.
We are. And in fact, we haven't actually launched the pod wide yet. That's why all our episodes are just called test episodes.
Yeah, I was kind of curious how long you were going to remain in beta mode.
I think we're getting close. We are actually, because of COVID, all our recording has been remote thus far. And we've kind of had a tentative plan to do get together type of recording, just the two of us. And I think we're actually going to be doing that in the next week or so. That should prep us for a real launch. We have, I think, 22 test episodes. It's a long beta.
Yeah, it is, but it's been very effective. Give everybody a little taste of what you guys talk about.
We did a podcast of several years ago that was, I think, a little more music focused. We launched this pod with several sort of goals in mind. One was not to talk too much about politics. Dave, my co-host, works in politics. We both have a lot of interest in politics, do a lot of reading on it and stuff, but we didn't want it to be just a boring politics podcast. We didn't want it to be just a music podcast. We're both big music fans like you. We didn't want it to be just one kind of podcast. We wanted it to be a couple of things, and part of the reason we've been in such a long beta is that we're still trying to figure some of that out. But I think two of our sort of raison d'etres is, one, we want it to feel like you're on a road trip. Like, if you've ever been on a road trip with two or three other buddies or two or three other people that you enjoy talking to, and it's just a conversation, and like anything can happen in that conversation. Disagreements can happen, but mostly just like talking about things about life. And then the other is that we definitely want to bring in guests from the outside. That part of the plan has been thrown a little off with the COVID and stuff, the Steve COVID affair, as we call it.
Yes, the listeners of your podcast will learn such names as Steve C. and Don T. and all of the wonderful cast of characters.
Yeah, there's a whole menagerie of characters that we have, and we invent new ones all the time. But we want to bring in people not just from the world of, obviously we can leverage Dave's guest list, his Rolodex of political type people, and then we both have contacts in the music world and in the just the world at large. But we also want to bring in like just regular people that we know that might have interesting jobs or interesting hobbies or just are fun to talk to.
Yeah, like Mike's been on a few times and he's always really entertaining.
Yeah, Mike has been on a couple of times, and he is a musician, like plays covers for a living. And so we've, not only do we like have good talks with him, but just like hearing about his antics having to play bro country, that's the job now.
Yeah, and he's doing those Facebook Live performances now. Yeah.
He is. Yeah, he's at Mike Bustin Music on Facebook. He does at least one a week. He just did one today, and they're fun. Like, he did an all 80s show today, and they're a lot of fun. We're at Apple Podcast or Spotify or Google or whatever. It's called Now More Than Ever. We're on Twitter at, I don't know the handles. If you search Now More Than Ever or search Now More Than Ever on Instagram, you can find us. One thing that we did probably, 12 episodes, and we hated reading the socials so much that we had Mike does all our voiceovers and stuff too, or a lot of our voiceovers. And we had him record a liner that's basically just him reading all the socials and stuff because we both hate that.
And you inspired me to literally do the exact same thing once you started doing that. And and as Dave says, amateurs borrow, pros steal. So I'm taking that advice to heart.
I heard that at the end of your pod and gave it a little, gave it a bit of applause. And I think like that for my part of the pod, and I know this is something that you enjoy too, like I really enjoyed the production aspect and finding sound clips. And I know you probably, if you've listened to our pod, you know, the intros, I kind of dig up interesting stuff for the intros. Yeah,
Definitely.
we don't play music like we used to. We're shying away from some of the licensing issues around that. But we definitely talk a lot of music. We've been doing a multi-part breakdown of Rick Rubin's career recently.
Yeah, I was listening to that yesterday. The Chili Pepper section especially was amusing to me.
We surprisingly went deep on a band that whoever knew you could go deep on the Red Hot Chili Pepper. I certainly did not think we were going to get as intellectual about the Red Hot Chili Peppers as we did, but there we were.
Getting Dave's interpretations of the Kiedis autobiography was very entertaining. His line readings were quite amusing.
Well, with Dave, you have a person that reads like, you know, tons of books. Like he reads like 5 books a week sometimes. So he's always got something on his mind percolating because I just read this book, you know, and I'm always trying to keep up. I think he's a speed reader for one thing. So, I mean, and that kind of drives our show too. It's like what we're reading, what we're watching, what we're listening to, kind of the raison d'etre of your pod that, you know, you kind of want to people that maybe don't get to hear things anymore. They don't have time. They're grown up. They've got families. You want to turn them on to some new music. And we like that too.
Yeah. And you guys, I think, are in the same boat where a lot of your friends quit listening to new music about 1998. They're kind of stuck in this classic rock loop. So I'm just really trying to expose people to things I don't think they've heard. And a lot of the stuff I'll play, you and Dave and some of our other friends that listen to the similar types of music, this isn't anything groundbreaking. I mean, every now and then I might throw something in that you might not have heard before, but it's mainly for the heathens out there that are still kind of stuck in that mainstream, just nothing new. This is just trying to get them to where they can hear something they haven't heard before and that it's actually good, that they'll enjoy it.
Love it, man. I mean, I still do year-end mixes every year. You know?
I mean, this really, I just kind of feel like this is a podcast version of a mix CD. And my wife's the one that kind of is suggested about several episodes in, hey, why don't you work the record store angle in there as well and vinyl? And obviously people are really starting to collect vinyl more and more. So it seemed like it was a natural fit.
I love it. Yeah, I think that's great too. And I love that you're promoting local record stores, you know, in Dallas and elsewhere. I think that's great, man.
In that vein, we'd like to ask you a few questions related to vinyl. It's a little thing we call, is that your vinyl answer? Let's learn a little bit more about your own personal musical journey here, Chris. What was the first record you ever bought?
I definitely purchased some 45s. Like I remember purchasing Men at Work, maybe like It's a Mistake or something like that, 45. The first album I ever bought was on cassette, and it was Huey Lewis and the News Sports.
Yeah, I used to have that.
I remember buying that with my own money at the mall.
I don't know why I remember this, but I think I bought that record on the same trip to the record store as I bought Rush Signals. So I don't know why I remember those being fused together at the hip, but it's kind of an odd twofer. Now, do you remember where it was that you bought that cassette?
We used to go to this mall called the Shannon Mall at Rest in Power, and they had a record bar and a Camelot. And I'm thinking it was probably the record bar. The record bar was like a little bit cooler.
Do you happen to still have that cassette?
I don't think I do. I have about probably 50 cassettes that are in storage, and I don't think that one is part of. I think that one has fallen along the wayside. It made it a long time.
I think the only cassettes that I still have are a couple of cases of mixtapes that I made back in the day. And it's funny, if I went back and listened to them, it's almost the very same MO as the podcast. I'd give it some sort of a silly title, and I'd have a bunch of clips, audio mixed in through this. So it's like I haven't outgrown that after all these years.
Yeah, it's the same thing. You're doing the same bit, right?
Yeah, exactly. The very same bit. Now, I have a couple of guesses at this next question. Okay. Which band or artist albums do you own the most?
It's close. It's almost tied between... did you want to guess?
Well, I was thinking the Stones and the Dead, but I don't know. Was it one of the others?
The Stones is number one, but Dylan is a really close number two.
Okay.
I bought the mono box set. It's like his first, I don't know, 6 albums or 7 albums in mono, and that like boosted my Dylan, stash up. Funny story about my Stones albums. A few years ago, this is probably, 10, 12 years ago, a friend of mine, his wife was like, we're giving away all this, or we're just going to throw away all this vinyl, but I know you like the Stones and we have a bunch of Stones, so maybe you want some of it. So they put me in this room and they had probably, a dozen Stones albums. It was stuff like Sucking in the 70s and, the live albums. It was all kinds of stuff. Steel Wheels was definitely in there. Undercover, like stuff I probably wouldn't buy
Dirty work.
Sadly, no dirty work.
Okay, you're off the watch list.
Okay, thank you. But yeah, Stones 1, Dylan 2.
So I guess Dave probably has more Dead in his collection. Does he skew a little more?
Maybe.
Grateful Dead?
I don't know. Yeah, maybe he may have more Dead in his collection. Yeah, I don't have a lot of Dead on vinyl. It's expensive.
Yeah, boy, it sure is.
Those reissues are expensive.
Which album or just title, let's say, over the years have you had to replace the most or purchased in the most different formats?
That's a good question. Let's see. I've definitely owned Led Zeppelin 4 and Led Zeppelin Physical Graffiti in 3 different formats. I've owned the Pixies Doolittle in 3 different formats. I've owned it. So Pixies Doolittle might win because I bought it twice on CD because I wore it out, and I own it on vinyl now after all these years.
Well, Frank Black is very appreciative of the
oh yeah
royalties there.
Charles Thompson appreciates my patronage.
Who among your friends and family has the largest vinyl collection, would you say?
I think it might be Dr. Charles Cook. You may know
him
as
yes,
Dump
Jack.
Yeah, I don't know what number he's at, but he has the past several years, like he's been on a tear, and he has a very, very varied collection. Like he has everything from like very extensive jazz to like every 80s metal album, you know. He's got like a complete Iron Maiden collection to like, you know, all the like indie rock stuff.
Zappa bootlegs, maybe.
A lot of Zappa, a lot of Dead. You talk about somebody with a lot of Dead. Like he's got a lot of Dead, a ton of Dead, ton of Fish. Like Dump Jack's got everything.
How much vinyl do you currently own? What would you put your number on right now?
So I have kind of 2 sections. My main section is probably a little over 300, maybe pushing 350. And then I've got another probably 125 of a lot of stuff that I got like in like storage auctions and stuff like that. So it's a lot of like obscure Southern rock and some classical stuff and like stuff I don't really, and like movie soundtracks, like stuff I don't really listen to that much. I mean, I own it, but it's not in my regular collection. So let's say, like, just for the sake of saying, let's say like 350.
Very impressive. So that Southern rock subset, is it comprised of a lot of those hyphenated Rossington Collins and Sanford Townsend? And
this is like even like sub that. It's like bands you've never even heard of that, you know, but Southern rock sold. I mean, everything sells. So at some point, especially in the 70s, if the record company could push it out there, they're going to throw it out there. And then they're like cutouts, records that ended up at the bottom of a river.
As Dave might say, some Z-grade Wet Willie knockoff.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. 24 special was...
Our last question is, what is your favorite record store? Now, this could be currently or all time.
We have a good selection of record stores here in Atlanta. Criminal Records is kind of a famous record store here. I, though, have sort of adopted this record store. This guy opened up this record store in this little town called Noonan, one of these old southern towns that has the big courthouse and it has the little downtown, and it's called Vinylite Records. And he sells records, he sells like skateboard stuff, and he's the nicest guy in the world. So generally on record store day, instead of getting in the 500-person line at Criminal to get nothing, I can cruise down to Vinylite. He asks on social media, like, what do you want me to order for anybody? And you can generally just go down there, hang out at the shop. And I don't know, they're just, I love that. I like, this is kind of a pitch too that I might fit in with kind of that ethos of your show. I've really gotten into 2 things. Like, of course, it's easy to order vinyl on Amazon and you can find some good prices and stuff. But 2 things I've really started trying to do is to order from local stores, even if it's different. Like, I order a lot of stuff from the End of All Music in Oxford, Mississippi, and then also ordering directly from the artist. I don't know, you get like some random stuff. They'll send you extra records sometimes, stickers.
Yeah.
So plug for that as well.
Yeah, that's actually a good route to go. Anything else you want to plug about the podcast before we wrap up?
New stuff is coming soon. We'll be pushing the pod out wide, hopefully here in the next few weeks. Now More Than Ever podcast. You can find us on Apple Podcasts. You can follow me on Twitter at Vesco Island. You can follow Dave on Twitter at the Chairman Mao, and we'll be, tweeting out stuff about the show. And
MOW, by the way, not
yes.
not MAO.
Yeah. The Chairman Mao, MOW. But we'll be pushing out a lot of stuff soon. We're really excited about what we've got coming on with the pod, man. Thank you so much for having me on.
It's great to have you on, and I literally have heard and listened to every episode of the beta so far. So been enjoying it and looking forward to more for sure. I was also a huge fan of Vesco Island, the original pod back years ago. So glad you guys are back at it.
Rest in peace to that, right?
Definitely.
75 episodes strong, we made it. But yeah, thank you so much, man. Thank you for all your support over the year. We shouldn't, by the way, we shouldn't leave without talking about the first published pod that we did. You were sort of the executive producer of that. Do you remember the Hip Displeasure blog? The first pod that my partner and I, Dave, did was back, what year was that? Probably like 06, 07? Vesco started, I think, in 2011 or 12, but I'm going to tell a story about Bob on his own pod. Bob started a blog called Hip Displeasure and got people that we knew that were writers or people that just wanted to do stuff, write about music and stuff, pop culture, and sort of assembled this blog. This is the meat of the blog era. And then we also pitched like, hey, we've been wanting to do this podcast for a while. We've done some tests on it. And you were like, great, you can do it as part of the blog. So we called it the Hip Displeasure Pod Blast. And so we did, I don't know, we probably did like 5 episodes or something. They're on a hard drive somewhere. But yeah, so that was the first published pod we had done. So we have a long history with you. And I think you were on Vesco at least once. And so, dude, it's a pleasure being on, man. And
yeah,
good luck with this. And we'll catch up with you down the road, okay?
You can find Bend and Scoop online at our website, bendandscoop.com, or a variety of podcast platforms, including Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, Buzzsprout, TuneIn, Podchaser, Deezer, Podcast Addict, and Listen Notes. You also can follow us on social media at Bend Scoop for both Twitter and Instagram, at Bend and Scoop on Facebook, and you can email us at bendandscooppodcast@gmail.com. If you're looking for another podcast to listen to, I'm part of one called How Many, which features myself and several other friends, including Jesse, Junior, Scott, sometimes Gary, and a few other special guest co-hosts, where we rate and debate all manner of pop culture, music, movies, TV, you name it. Find us on Twitter at How Many Podcast.
Bye-bye, lard ass.